Hey everybody, I wanted to do a little video about diagonal pliers. Um, I personally don't keep diagonal cutters on me anymore. I went from having, this isn't my first pair, but I went from having like just straight diagonal cutters like this to a bolt cutter style, and talk about that later. But I am much more of a fan for diagonal cutters purpose with this style. This is, I don't know if Knipex was the first to do this, but Knipex has this sold with their branding, and this one is much cheaper, and I think is way better than your traditional diagonal cutters. I will say that, like, if you're a guy who is in a residential situation, you're removing staples with your diagonal cutters, these ones kind of do that still, but you don't get, you see how the cutters are in the middle as opposed to the cutters being in the back. That is one thing that you can't really do with these diagonal cutters. So personally, I pull off staples with my what's it called, my crimper. I think it grabs the metal of staples better, and anyways, but a lot of people do use their diagonal cutters, and so if you are a guy who does that, you can't really do that with these. But what you can do with these is cut metal a lot better. These have a much better closing mechanism for high leverage application, and I'd highly recommend these things for I just think they're better in like a lot of ways. If you're cutting like 12.3 MC luminary, like this can't wrap around the 12.3 luminary, but it can cut it a lot easier. I've since moved to some Knipex linemen that I just use to cut it, or my bandsaw. I'll just have that on deck. But these are really good at cutting the ridges on MC. These are great at that if you're a guy who doesn't want to, and then unraveling the MC if you don't want to use your MC cutter. Like, these are great for that. But my main purpose, I guess, for having these is that they're just better at cutting metal. Like, if you ever need to customize a washer, these are great at doing that. Gonna try to go one-handed on this, but there's the dent that's left in this from that style of diagonal cutters. And I have in the past, when the cutters were new, been able to cut pieces like straight up, but the leverage on these is not as great, and you can see that it did make a cut, but it's not as deep. And sometimes you just need something to be able to cut through something. But like, you can make another cut on that side and then use your lineman and your channel locks to bend it off, and then so you can use the washer to fit the space that you're working with. I'm just a bigger fan. Like, this cuts nails like crazy better. Like if you don't want to screw up your lineman and you just want to use diagonal cutters for that purpose, this thing cuts nails like way better, cuts screws way better. This does not cut it as easily, but this hinge style just does a lot better of a job for cutting stuff. So this brand is called Klinge, and you could just call them Capri Bolt Cutters, I think is what they're called. The part number is 40203, and you can pick yourself up a pair of these. Knipex has them for like $50 something. These are like $30. I'm just not a fan of these. I just don't personally see a purpose for them in my toolbox. But I honestly don't even use diagonal cutters anymore. I use my bandsaw to cut MC, or use my lineman, and I don't know. I just don't think you really need diagonal cutters. But if you do want a pair that is better, I would say go for like a bolt cutter style like this.